Commence the Aura Farm. Welcome to the Dota Club podcast. I'm here with. Wait, where is he? He was just here.
Sorry,
Where'd
I
he
was just
go?
looking for a decent teammate on the NA servers. I couldn't find one.
Oh, there he is. There he is. No, it's not your team's fault. It's never your
Oh,
team's
just kidding.
fault, and
I
it
was
never
just looking for
was.
my impact, and I realized it could be greater.
I was thinking about dropping like a really emotional video about how like it's not your team's fault and it never was, but I
Yeah,
didn't yet. But it's true. I feel like people need that reminder like
it's that it is.
often. It's never your team's
Dude,
fault.
I mean, not
Never.
to call out people in your Discord. I don't even know, right? But like, I mean, because the thing is, though, is like people like it's frustrating when you have like a negative experience and you just want to like rant and share it with people. But like, it's not a coincidence that like whenever someone talks about it, they're never like talking about like this is what I've been doing on the self-improvement Dota grind. They're like, look at this guy in my pub being an animal. What an animal, bro! And everyone's like, yeah, like what can you do?
Some people are on that like more Sigma grind in my Discord. I actually think my community is
No. You fostered a great
pretty
community.
good
For
about
sure.
this stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely some people.
And I don't think it's like I'm not like holy shit, like how could he say that? Because I think it's like in human nature to like focus on the negative and like want to share that experience with other people to like lessen.
Yeah, no,
the
exactly.
emotional toll.
A big part of it is like sharing the experience and the social aspect of it.
Dude, I have a lot to say on that though, because I think sharing the experience is something that is griefing.
Yeah,
Right?
that's something that you do a lot actually.
Yes,
After our
yes,
pub,
yes,
you'll
yes,
rant
yes.
for like literally an hour.
And the excuse is
I'm
literally,
not
like,
exaggerating.
yes,
Literally an
yeah.
hour before we queue again about like our norms teammates, and in
Yes.
my head I'm like, "What are you doing?" But then I'll say something about it. I'll be like, "Yeah, like I think it's more productive to like
And I'll
focus
be
on
like, nah, I'm just ranting.
our own gameplay." And you'd be like, "Nah, dude, like yeah, it's all good. I'm just venting or something," which is fine. That's fair. But
It's kind of not.
I've always
Yeah.
had more fun and like been more fulfilled playing Dota with you, especially when we're like both on the improvement grind.
Yeah.
And I think there's a very big distinction. Or like I'll ask you, what do you think goes into because you admit like you have these modes. Like what do you or do you think it's like two modes where you're like just focused on improvement? Or do
That's a good question. Identifying what it is difficult. I think there's a lot of factors. Okay. I think that the reason why, so it can relate to like a lot of things. Like it can be like, oh, like IRL, like I'm just like I didn't do enough IRL, and then I feel like more ghoul-ish, right? And that just like causes me to be more frustrated. I also think when I'm less in practice, I'm more likely to complain about my teammates, and it's a defense mechanism because you feel like you have less control of the game. It's cope, right? Because you you couldn't carry, right? So might as well blame my team. And I just want to like what I wanted to talk about is not to like evade your question, but like it's hard for me to identify honestly why I do it.
yeah,
Right?
no, I think the defense mechanism is really big.
I think that's the biggest one is that
Yeah.
I do it when I'm not in practice. Because if I'm in practice, I feel good. I'm okay taking responsibility. And then the times where I don't want to take responsibility is like I'm not in practice, so it just feels like shit.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
it comes from like not knowing what you did wrong, right? I think
yeah.
that's specifically where the defense mechanism
Well,
like
I just think
clicks.
like the less
Maybe not
comfortable
for
I'm
you
in,
specifically,
I think the
but
less comfortable I am in Dota, the more likely I am to rant about my teammates and care about my teammates' impact.
Because I think that leads to you not knowing what you did wrong as
I
much.
actually have
Being less comfortable.
I think I have like the key to it all right here. I've solved
Oh,
it,
let's go. Let's
which
hear
is so it's all about the flow state, right? And we were
Yeah.
watching Blue Lock. It all comes back to Blue Lock. I love that comment that said there was a comment on the last episode that's like it always or like it all comes back to Blue Lock or some shit because we
It
said
still
that.
does.
It still
Yeah.
does. But in Blue Lock, they were talking about flow state, and they had a great visual that you said was from like scientific, like it's like
Yeah,
backed
it's
by
based in
science.
science. I've
Yes,
seen
it's
it
based in
in like
science.
other scientific concepts.
So what the visual was is there's a graph and it's like difficulty. So the upper portion that's like too difficult, that they mark that off as like that causes anxiety. You're not in the flow state. The bottom is too easy. You're bored. So that's also you're not in the flow state. And the middle portion is like the zone or like the flow state, right? And so I think what's particularly insightful is that the flow state is or like a mechanism to activate the flow state is it's a challenge of ideal difficulty, right? It's not too easy and not too difficult. And so I think what the issue is and why I start ranting about my teammates is because the task is too difficult because I'm out of practice. So
Because
I'm
they're
not in
too
the flow.
bad. I'm
No,
just kidding.
well, yeah, exactly. No, because I'm too bad to carry 1v9. So the task I have in front of myself is too difficult. So I like, and then so like if we're saying it's like the flow state, like if that portion's like anxiety because the task is too difficult, it's like I'm offloading that anxiety by ranting about my teammates,
Yeah.
right?
I think a hard thing there is when you take a break and you come back, you're still at the same MMR. Like it doesn't adjust your
Yes,
MMR after
but
like a few
your like
weeks,
flow
but
state
you're a
parameters are
lot
lower.
you're a lot rustier.
Yes, exactly.
So it's harder to kind of hit that flow state.
Yeah.
Um does it take you a while to de-rust these days? Low key it only takes me like a few games if I don't play for a
I
few
wouldn't
weeks and I
I wouldn't
feel
know to
like
be honest because
kind
I
of
haven't
back.
been playing that much. But the other thing is that like I can say like, oh, it takes me a while to de-rust, but honestly, I feel like it's been a while since I'm like in full form. And by full form, I don't even just mean gameplay. I mean like mental, like all of it adds up, like mental as well, and just like I think when we were in full form, like I think peak for us was like that Wind Ranger Ember patch where we were just like
Yeah.
spam playing ranked.
I mean, we
And
had a few good patches. We didn't even play that much that
I know,
patch, honestly. You
but
you
my
say we were spam playing, but I think we only played like 2 to 3 ranked games a day max,
yeah, for like a few weeks.
which is a lot. Which is a lot.
I mean,
But
I gained like 1500 MMR.
yeah, I mean, we double down every game
Yeah,
plus
it's a
like
lot of games though. No, we
calibrations.
played a lot, I think. And particularly what I think that is that it's a combination of things where the fact that we're playing so much rank, the fact that we have this formula and stuff, like that's building a lot into the confidence, which adds into like the ease. Like it's a positive feedback cycle, right? Because we have this nice formula on the patch, we're playing a ton, and the more I play, the more confidence I have, the greater difficulty of game I can have, like the easier it is for me to achieve flow state. And I also think that like I enjoy Dota so much that like the bottom end of the spectrum where like you're too bored or it's too easy, like honestly that doesn't like affect me too negatively compared to like the top end where like I'm like coping because the game's too difficult.
Yeah, the top end is more frustrating. I think with the bottom end, I'll play a game, and if it's too easy, I'll like just feel unsatisfied, right? But I won't be frustrated.
Yeah.
Sly 1220 in the chat. Okay,
Slides
so
will
now
try
we want to
big.
talk about
Yeah,
Blue
no,
Lock.
big
That's
big blue
funny.
log plant
Bro's been
fan.
trying to put us on for years.
I know, and it's so good.
No, season 2 is really good. It's surprisingly like I don't want to say woke, that's really the wrong word, but it's like up to date on like for example the flow state research. Like I read multiple
Mhm.
books about the flow state and it uses like scientific principles from those books to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I don't see any other like literature or anything on competition talk about like the flow state as much as Blue Lock. Not that I
Yeah.
read that much literature on competition, but it's interesting because I've had a hunch for years. I mean, my name right now is Krabby parentheses flow,
Yeah.
just to remind myself to get in the flow state. And it's interesting that I've had this hunch that that flow state is really important, like for a
Mhm.
while. And Blue Lock's talking about it, like it is. It's not a
Yeah.
coincidence.
Yeah.
That
Flow
you
state
should try to hit
also,
it.
yeah. Flow state's also interesting because okay, you're asking like how long does it take for me to get in form? And honestly, I evaluate form like by like how often I can enter the flow state. That's honestly what it feels like. Because when you have a game where you're in the flow state compared to a game where you're not, it's genuinely like a completely different experience. And there's also a spectrum of like how deep in the flow state you are. And so this is like relating to League because I've been playing League with a lot of like my brother and then my friends. But basically, what happened was I had a League game where I was like really, really focused. I wasn't talking about my team at all. We're going to relate this to Dota, don't worry. But I wasn't talking about my team at all. And like my comms are very concise and clear. They're all based in the game. They're nothing about what my teammates were doing. It's like this guy's going here. They want to go for this objective. I can set up here. Stuff like that, right? Like same thing we would do in Dota. And that game felt like insanely good. And it wasn't free. I went like 30-0 and it was a hard game. But that game felt insanely good. And what that game made me realize is how many games I play where I'm not in the flow state, right? And I'm just like performing less and like tilted at my team, talking about my team. Like it is not easy.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing I wanted to say is that there's a lot, like, I think that talking about your team and the flow state don't coexist. Like, they just, like, full stop. You can't talk about your team in a negative manner and be in the flow state. It's simply not possible. I don't know if you
It's
agree,
really
but
interesting though because some people like do that and play well. So do you think that they're just like never in the flow state then
I think
if they're
that
doing that?
they're I think that they're operating at less than maximum potential. Yes.
Yeah, I mean I agree with that, but I also think it's a spectrum of like how much better people get in flow state and it relates to like how well you can multitask. But
Sure.
the thing about flow state for me though is it can be like a double-edged sword because if you're not in it and you're like conscious of not being in it, that can make you like play like dog shit, you know?
I
Because
mean,
if
but
you're,
yeah,
it's kind of like taking a black pill. It's like, okay, I know that I play so much better in the flow state, and if one game I can't hit it, you know, and then you get in your head about not being in it,
hmm,
then that's kind of the nightmare because you know you're not in it, you know you're not playing at your best, and then that makes you play even worse.
yeah,
And getting in the flow state, it's like falling asleep where you're not guaranteed to do it. You know, like you can't just force yourself into it. There are, I mean, in the book I read, there were a bunch of conditions on like how you can help yourself get into it.
yeah,
Um, the book was really interesting, by the way. It was written by this like world-renowned psychologist, and he's talking about how the number one key to like well-being is just correlated with how often you're in the flow state.
yeah,
Which I thought was really interesting in general because you're like fully present.
yeah. I think
Um,
that's the main thing.
yeah, yeah. But my point is there are a set of conditions that you need to like hit to
Mhm.
enter it, and it's not guaranteed. So not
Yeah.
hitting it
Well,
can be
okay.
tough.
Relating to what you just said about like, oh, if you think about you're not in the flow state, um, I also think a prerequisite for the flow state is that you're fully present, right? So, I mean, also relating it to like what you said about sleeping, like the time you fall asleep is when you're not thinking about like sleeping, right? It's
Yeah,
like when you
exactly.
just like fall asleep.
Exactly. It's the
Um,
same.
so yeah, I think like trying to like all you can do, you can't just like logic your way into like being in the flow state. Like, wow,
Yeah.
this is a problem of optimal difficulty. Like, and then you start like slighting their shit as ember.
You
That's
can't
not what
logic your
happens.
way into falling asleep either.
No, you
I read
can't.
a really good tweet that it was about falling asleep, but the tweet was falling asleep is how every state of consciousness is. You have to like just pretend you're in it until you like become in it. I
Yeah,
thought that was pretty insightful. And by
yeah,
other states of consciousness, I mean like I don't know, like if you want to make a lot of money, for example, you have to just like pretend like you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
are someone who makes a lot of money.
Dude. Oh,
And
dude, I
I
saw
thought that
another
that was
great
really
tweet. No,
applicable.
I actually saw something super applicable to that, which was like, basically, it was someone saying like you should do this at the start of like every day for like 10 to 15 minutes, which is just like uh
Affirmations.
well, like basically, right? But it was more like, oh, you should visualize exactly where you want to be and the emotions that would give you, and then just like feel it as strongly as possible for like 10 minutes and just like envision it, and then your path or your brain's already on a path to like going into that mental, right? Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so just
I
like
read a book
envision,
about
yeah,
this called
yeah, yeah,
Psycho-Cybernetics. I think
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what it
yeah,
was referencing.
yeah. I think so, because you just like visualize where you want to be in the mental state that you would be in that place, and then I mean that's like obviously you're closer there than like if I'm watching YouTube on the toilet in the morning or some
And then
shit.
your brain will take you there is kind of the point, right?
Exactly,
If you like
exactly.
point, you give your mind something to like point
I
at,
mean, just
and
related
then
to like
it
the
takes
sleeping
you there.
example, right? Like
Yeah.
you need to like go pretend to be asleep until you can be asleep. Um, but
So
yeah,
pretend to be a good Dota player.
but yeah. Just going back to the flow state though, really quick, because I think, yeah, I really think that's a key, and I really got my eyes open to like how often I'm not in the flow state, and like there are so many things you can do to not enter the flow state that is griefing. And we talked about talking about your teammates. And here's another issue I think about like talking about your teammates, especially if you're doing it on microphone, is that you are actually just griefing everyone else from entering the flow state on your team
Yeah.
too. Like you just grief the whole team, right?
Yeah.
If you're like ranting on mic, like, why are we not at the roots? Wow, like boom, flow state like disrupted. Or the guy muted you if he's
It's
like
funny
single
because
enough. But
what we're talking about right now, I think, is very much against like the status quo because it's very normal to like talk in your mic a lot. But
yes.
I fully agree with it. And people talking in the mic like takes me out of the flow state, makes me play worse. And I think I've always thought, or at least when I've spoke about this before, I've always said that it's just for me personally because it feels like weirder to talk for other people.
Yeah.
But now I kind of agree with you. Like I think
Yeah.
that I think that the mental side of my gameplay is like one of my strong points, and I think that other people who are at my skill level and don't enter the flow state like have a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Um,
That would make sense.
I
Um,
think that's what it
Yeah.
is.
Dude, another thing that relates to this is when we were streaming our 1v1s, Like that just goes to
That
show.
was terrible. Holy
Which
fuck.
well, that was like probably some of the worst Dota I played in my entire
Yeah.
life, basically.
No, the worst is when we streamed the pub after. That was the worst Dota I've
Oh
ever
yeah,
played
I
in
mean
my
that.
entire life.
I
Fuck
remember,
that.
dude. I remember. There was a play where I was like busy, just like thinking about like how dog shit this game was, and I'm like
Ugh.
just anti flow state like masterclass. And then I'm like, I walk like melee range into Witch Doctor and get like cast on a range creep and solo kill this tinker. And I'm just like, dude, I'm like not even present in the game. Like I'm actually, because what it is, or at least the reason. So what I was gonna say is that streaming also, at least personally for me, because I'm not practiced in it, is also like a completely anti flow state preventative measure for me. And the reason why, okay, really quick, because like the thing about the flow state, I think that is like very important, and this is why you can't logic your way into the flow state, is that it's being fully present, right? You're just fully focused on the game. You're not thinking about your teammates. You're not thinking about, for in the streaming example, like the issue for me is that I'm very cognizant of the observer, right? Being like the Twitch chat or whatever. Even if there's no one there, like if I'm streaming to 0 viewers, like I'm just cognizant that like I can be observed, right? Whereas when I'm like fully flowing in a Dota game, it's like I'm just like Ember Spirit, right? Like, and I don't care. I am Ember Spirit.
Yeah, I think that's a skill, but
Yeah.
you're right. I have a lot of empathy towards streamers now after just streaming one pub.
It's so difficult.
Like that's hard. I played so much worse just being cognizant of being on stream. I bet other people are probably better at it. In general,
but there's still
too.
like, dude, I don't know.
I mean, people on stream or Dota streamers before have talked about how they'd be higher MMR if they didn't stream.
Yeah, and I think it's
for
true.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's true.
After experiencing it, like, yes.
Unfortunately, well, I mean, if you stream like thousands of hours, I bet you get used to it. But
I mean, to a certain extent,
I don't know if you play at the max.
I think you're just raising your baseline level. You're just not at max capacity. If Koiko like just like perma grinded his main heroes off stream, like he would be way higher or perform way better than if he's talking to chat. Oh, do you guys like eggs or omelet? As he's like playing mid lane. Yeah, as he's like in the mid lane 14k pub in the second wave.
Lone druid. I move my phase boots to my bear.
It's so good.
Druid. It's so good, guys.
Holy shit. Yeah, but I do think, but basically, I mean, the main thing I wanted to say is, yeah, don't be the dude. I mean, not to call out my brother, but in League, he is the anti-flow state beacon. I mean, we've discussed this already.
Honestly, a lot of people are. A lot of people are, and
Dota
it's
just
too.
Because it's just because they just fucking talk about their team the whole fucking time, dude. I don't care. Oh my god!
I'm trying to flow over here, bro.
I'm trying to flow, and it's a dam in the river of the flow. Can you move, man?
It sounds like some surfer lingo or something, which is funny because surfing is known for like putting you in the flow state.
Yeah, you gotta be focused for that for sure.
Yeah, well, also like being on a wave just forces you to be present as well.
Yeah, and okay. Another thing that I think is important about the flow state, similar to like the sleeping example where you're kind of faking it, or relating it to Blue Lock, it all comes back. This is something that like Blue Lock emphasized really well, but it wasn't relating to flow state. It was relating to like having impact in the game. Is you have your weapons, you have your tools, blah 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 blah, and relating this to Dota, like what your hero can do. You just need to go to a location where you can have impact, and like go to somewhere where the conditions meet, the ideal conditions meet where you can have impact, right? So if I'm Spectre and I'm sitting mid lane, those are not the ideal conditions for me to have impact, right? Because the ideal conditions for me to have impact is the enemy team splits up and then I get to like use my ult and make a move, right? So just inherently, if I go to the sides of the map, like impact is coming, right? I'm putting myself in a location where it's just a higher likelihood odds that I'm going to have high impact. And I think flow state's the same way, where you can't force it, you can't logic your way into it, but what you can do is you can set up all the conditions to like maximize the potential of entering the flow state, right? So we discussed this before, like CS Trainer, I think helps. Listening to the same music in CS Trainer. I listen to the same song every time I CS train, and then I play it in lane, right? So like that's like my flow state like trigger right there. Stuff like that. Or deafening and Discord's one for us that definitely puts like that is, creating the ideal environment for us to enter the flow state. I think all of these things are really essential.
Let us know in the comments of this video if you want us to host a flow state webinar.
The flow state webinar. That would go hard.
How cool would that be? Yeah, no,
dude, it really relates to. Like,
we'd have to. I know it does. We'd have to do some research. I actually have. So I read a book about like how to enter the flow state, and I just looked up like a little summary of what you can do to get in it. The biggest ones that I remember. One is the challenge one, which
Yeah.
is like having the challenge be the right level for you, but then also doing the same. I need a flow playlist. Yeah, we'll give you the
The
song
flow playlist. I'll
actually.
tell you,
There's
the flow song is called a Reykjavik. It's there's no lyrics or anything. It's just like audio.
that song
It's
really
super
gets
laid
me
back. I got it
present.
off Koikva's stream, and the reason why is because I was watching Koikva's stream, and he was like flowing on a team fight as Darkseer. It was him, and I forgot who the other person was, but they're like his mid laner on Wind Ranger were both like absolutely saucing. And I was like, okay, I just need to play this on the playlist because it's super chill and laid
I'll link
back.
it in the chat actually.
Yeah,
It's a good song.
you have it on YouTube.
Um,
All right.
the other like condition to enter the flow state I remember was having like similar sensory inputs beforehand.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
listening to one specific song before you play
Yeah.
every time and not listening to that song in other contexts helps as well.
Yeah. This is also why
Um,
sports players have like pregame rituals, right? Like
yeah.
you want to replicate the same conditions every single time. And maybe it doesn't put you in the flow state now, but like
Over
eventually
time, it will condition you to
like
do
if
it.
I listen to this song every single time and then I enter the flow state finally like once, like now we're getting somewhere, right? Like now I've conditioned myself pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are more too. Okay, I don't want to actually deep dive into this right
Yeah,
now.
we
I
don't
don't
need a
think
deep dive, it's
that's
fine.
what we should do. It's interesting though for myself, honestly. After this, I think I'm going to do some research on like how to enter it better because there are things that you can control that increase your likelihood of getting in the flow state.
Yeah.
That'd be something that we'd be good at actually is like hosting a flow state webinar where we just teach people like
What
how to
did you
get in the flow
send?
state. I want to be in flow more often. When I'm the most satisfied playing Dota is when I hit the flow state. And honestly, I think playing less kind of correlates with being in the flow state with me.
Dude,
When you
that's the
just
other
like
thing. Yeah.
when you play a lot, I feel like it's easier to like take the game less seriously and like respect it less.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Respecting it less is a
not
big one, I
not
think.
flow as much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, flow is like it's an important concept, but it's also like, dude, it's difficult to like because a lot of it is nebulous, right? So it's hard to like go off on it forever.
What's nebulous about it? I don't think it's nebulous.
I mean, it's capital
It's a
H.
scientifically proven like state of consciousness.
I think it's just capital H hard to achieve, and what capital H hard is for the chat, because this is a term that me and Krabby use, is that capital H hard means you're not guaranteed the outcome no matter how much effort.
Yeah. So
Right? Like
something
I
that's
could really
capital H hard
desire.
is like
Yeah.
starting a successful business.
Yes, exactly.
Or
Just because
like
I try my best doesn't mean I'm guaranteed success. Whereas like lowercase h hard is like I don't know, like taking the trash out or some shit.
yeah,
I mean that's
well,
not that
I
hard.
think a better example would be like maintaining a healthy lifestyle.
True,
You
true, true,
know,
true. If
I
you
think
put
that's
enough
a really
effort,
good
you're
example
chilling.
because it's not easy, but
It's
you're
not easy.
guaranteed success if you put effort in.
Yes, exactly,
If you
exactly.
like that concept, check out my Substack blog where I have articles about that.
Jeez.
I'm just kidding. I do have a personal blog though. I feel like people might be kind of interested in that. Not that I'm not going to link it because I don't know. I don't think the Dota audience is relevant to like read blogs, but I
Yeah,
did write
probably
about
not.
that concept on my personal blog. Dang, I feel like we didn't
Like
cover flows in depth. Yeah, we didn't
we didn't
articulate it,
articulate it
but
as well.
it's okay. I don't think we need to. It's not worth like going back and trying
Yeah,
to force
I would
it. I
agree
mean,
with
we've
that.
talked about flow before, but like, what is there to articulate? Like, flow state's goated. I forgot where I heard this, but I heard it from a reputable source. It might have been like Blitz or something on an interview. Oh no, it was Insania talking. It might have been on Cap's podcast, but they were talking about Team Falcons, and this
Oh,
is
yeah.
really interesting because this is something that Aoi tells his team that aligns with like something you and I talk about that's against the status quo. So he specifically tells his team to communicate via voice as little as possible. Isn't that really based?
Potato, potato, potato. What you think now, buddy? I'd say he's
Yeah.
got my back.
No. It's not Insania. It's Aoi telling
Oh,
Falcons
Owie.
that.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
really smart.
That's how
That's really
he
smart.
runs his team. He tells
Yes,
them like
that's
not to
so
talk as
smart.
little as possible, which
Dude,
is
I
really
need to
interesting because
reduce
to give some
talking.
context, anecdotally, like you and I have discovered that when we play together, we play our best when like we're talking in the mic as little as
Yeah.
possible. And I don't think that includes like the pings and stuff because I can ping and communicate a lot that way. But it's specifically when I use my voice, I feel like it takes me out of the flow state.
Yes, I agree.
And I think it's just really interesting that a really successful tier 1 team that I'm sure hires like sports psychologists, they came to the same conclusion. And I honestly think that this is an idea that like we're kind of ahead of the curve on, and that a lot of other teams are going to adopt in the next 5 to 10 years because it's just so real for
Yeah.
myself. And in the past, I've only been comfortable talking about like what works for me, right? Because at the end of the day, like
You don't
that's
want to
all I
prescribe
have.
it
But
to
now I'm
people.
kind of leaning toward like the more prescriptive mentality. Now that I
Yeah.
hear like Owie's running Falcons like
Yeah.
that,
Turn off your microphone. Um, yeah.
I just notice a direct correlation between how much I talk on the mic and how well I play in the game.
Yeah.
Period.
Like I said, I think if we want to go full stop or like take it to the extreme rather than just like talking about your team, I feel like talking on the microphone removes you and everyone listening from the flow state to like most of the time. Now, I think it can help, but I think what's insightful about Aoi saying that is use it as little as possible, which inherently implies that the only thing you're going to communicate on microphone is things that can't be conveyed through the ping system or through nonverbal communication that are very important, right?
Yeah.
Just inherently, if you're reducing it, you're going to cut out all the bullshit and you are going to start only communicating things that have to be communicated via mic, which is like good. Like I said, I think it takes you out of the flow state. I think something insightful you said about like when I communicate is like when I'm talking too much, like it genuinely turns into background noise. Like it's part of the
Yeah.
song at a certain point.
No, that's
Um,
true.
yeah,
And that's true for everyone who talks in the mic a lot.
yeah,
And it doesn't matter if what you're saying is good, it's just the reality of things. And
yeah.
that's
I
definitely
agree with
why
that.
people listen to you less when we play.
Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes you talk a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I was wondering what you were saying about Falcons Comms. So that was the whole Falcon Comms bit.
Yeah. Isn't that
Damn,
really, really interesting
dude,
though?
that's
Like I
insane.
heard that and I was like, damn, like I
Wait,
should be
Aoi
a
might be the
fucking
goat though, low
sports
key.
psychologist.
We
No,
gotta put some respect on Aoi actually.
we're the goats, bro,
Well, yeah,
because we
obviously, but I mean, I've
yeah,
known
but Owie
that, but
also.
that's
Yeah. I mean,
insane.
it's just interesting. But Owie also is like kind of a like a hipster innovator with like ideas like that. So I feel like he would be.
On some
What I'm
stuff like
trying to
that.
say is I'm not 100% sure that he's
Dude,
like
Cookie
right,
needs to
but
watch
he
this
would be.
episode. With
Actually,
the
Cookie hasn't been talking in the mic a lot when I played with him.
Cookie's been not talking to us because he's been dodging us. Sorry, calling him out of the podcast. Hey, quit dodging us, buddy.
No,
Offline mode
I had a
merchant.
game with Cookie where it was like way too easy. We were playing like Ursa CM and we were like on the bottom end of the flow graph,
Yeah,
and then he got off after
yeah.
just one game, and I was like, damn, we were
He
not
was
flowing
not.
that
He
game.
was not entertained. I mean,
No,
it
that
wasn't a
was a
challenge of optimal difficulty.
honestly no. Cookie returned to full form because he picked CM.
Yeah,
We won safe lane, and then he portaled and like double killed the enemy top lane. And every time he makes a play, he's spamming the "I'm surrounded by such peons" voice line. Like,
yeah.
and
That's
anytime
like
our
that's
team
full
did
form,
anything, it's full form Cookie.
dude. Wait. Actually, I swear, voice lining as well, or like stuff like that. Like the fact that he's spamming that voice line, like that is also a flow state trigger, right?
No,
Because
it
it's
is
routine. It's
honestly.
routine, right?
Yeah,
You make the play, you
yeah,
spam the voice line, like you're in the zone.
yep.
Yeah.
That's true. I used to spam a lot of the bronze tier ally voice lines, but I don't do that as much anymore.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I kind of want to
Yeah.
start again because it makes me feel like anti mage, less like
Yeah, that's true.
Colin. I'm more anti mage when I hear
Yeah.
anti mage say his bronze tier
I
voice
think
line.
there's just also a level of routine to it, like relating it to like sports as well. Like I was telling you about like the public game I had where like my team I think was like all in the flow state. And I think a lot of that was just like routine on the line communication where like we make a play and we're not talking about like wowza, woo, yippee, like that was so insane. It's like, all right, let's fucking go, boys. Let's get it, right? Like shit like that. Like I think that's what like the voice lines are doing, where like if I'm like nice spamming or like well played spamming after like we make a nice play together, like I feel like that just gets the team all on the same page. Like everyone's locked on the game. Whereas if I get on the mic like, wow, dude, nice play, nice skewer, it's like ain't nobody want to hear
Yeah,
that.
that was so cool.
But like, I agree where like it puts me in the flow state when I like dive top. And like, let's be honest, it's not impressive when I'm like diving top with the Ember with the DD and I get like a triple kill on like the level like 4 supports at 6 minutes, right? But then my whole team spams like well played. I'm like, well played, back to the mid lane. Like, let's go. Like
Yeah,
I'm still in the game right now,
exactly.
boys. But if someone starts glazing my shit on microphone, like nice rotation Ember. Nice rotation Ember. Like now I'm like, yeah, man. Like, and I turn into like a little soy, like instant.
Yeah, and on that note, something interesting I've observed anecdotally, I've noticed that a lot of lower MMR players will like be a lot more chatty. Like I think the correlation's interesting because I think if you're higher MMR, you just like hit the flow state more, and so you talk less. Like, how many high MMR people do you know who like talk a lot in the mic? Not many. I mean, there's a few,
And
but
when they do, I think their communication is much better. Um,
yeah.
like it depends. Some players are shot callers. Like I was watching Koikfa stream and like they were having a rough game, and then Eki, if you know Eki, like started shot calling, and Koikfa's like, nice, like Eki shot calling, like we're gonna win. But I also think like that's nice because I think Koikfa doesn't want a shot call, right? Like he's a player who doesn't want a shot call. So to have like and like Eki's the support, right? So I think that was really nice where like he's taking the burden off the other players so the other players can like be busy flowing while the one guy like isn't flow or like he's like setting up the smokes and stuff and like putting the wards down while the other
Well,
players get to like actually play.
that's the other thing is I think on support, shot calling is more like cohesive with staying in the flow state. 'Cause
And
it's
you
like
also have
part
to
of
like
your
shot
role.
call well, right? Like
Yeah.
it's about what you communicate. Like if the shot call is like, I think like, dude, aren't we strong? Aren't we strong, guys? Aren't we strong? Like that is like trash, right? But if it's like go top, smoke, go top, we got DD, check the rune. Like that is great communication. Damn, I had something to say on. Oh yeah, you were talking about low MR players talking too much. I also noticed this phenomenon with low MR players who feel like they're outclassed in the game. And so what they do, like in order to compensate, I feel like they feel like they can't have a lot of impact in terms of their Dota mechanical skill. So they try to have impact on the microphone. In reality, they're ruining the game and they need to stop talking. But we have a lot of players like that. Like we had a norm where someone will preface like, sorry, guys, haven't played in a while or something. And they're just like talking the whole time. And then they're just not flowing. I also have like, okay, I have a particular experience where now how much of this is like related to the flow state? I don't know, it not directly, but I'm gonna tell the story anyways. But I remember we just had a lich in our game who also like prefaced by saying like he was rusty and stuff. And from 5 minutes to 5:45, I'm literally begging this guy to show up at the rune, and he doesn't show up. And then I like you TP on Prophet, and I hit level 6 on Pango when we roll and kill the enemy mid laner. It's an invoker, right? And my lich is not doing anything. He's just watching the mid play, and he like starts like going like, "Wow, dude, that was awesome. That was sick."
Oh yeah, that's
Like,
terrible.
and first off, like,
Bro isn't even playing the game.
he's not even playing the game. He's like trying to like compensate by like glazing me instead. Like that's his impact is glazing me. And in reality, what he did is he didn't show up to the play. Then I made the nice play, and he fucking grabbed me by the neck and removed me from the flow state to tell me that that was sick. I remember when this happened. Like it pissed you off, it pissed me off. Like now I'm just mad. Like why did you do that, dude? Can you play Dota instead? Like I hate that. And a lot of players do that. Where like I think they just. I mean that the story is just like kind of funny, but I do think a lot of players do it where they like try to compensate for like feeling inferior in Dota skill by like shot calling. Don't fucking do that shit. Dude. That is trash. Don't do that. I hate when players do that. It literally like griefs because
I mean, if you're a support, I like when my support shot call well though. That's the thing. Like, if they're good at shot calling, then I like it. I do think it has impact in the game if there's like a support who maybe isn't performing well, but they're like shot calling well.
My issue is I think they just feel the need to compensate. Like because they're worse or they feel outclassed in the video game, if they communicate more, they'll have more impact. It's like performative impact is what I think. Right? And I think
maybe sometimes you can't say that for everyone.
No, I agree. But I think like if someone's communicating well, I think they're in the flow state when they're shot calling, right? And I think that these people who are like out, like they're also cognizant. Like you can just tell when someone like prefaces that they're rusty and like they're worried that they're not going to perform well, and they preface like, "Sorry guys, if I feed," like that guy ain't flowing, right?
Yeah,
that guy's cognizant of the observer being me in his pub.
Yeah,
and I'm observing him being a feeder.
Which is why whenever somebody says that, they do perform very badly.
They perform
like,
awful
with 99% precision, and it's honestly, it's not because they're rusty; it's because they're like self-conscious. I mean,
yeah, it's more about that. It's more about
just
that
self-conscious. Sure. I mean, it's definitely both, but yeah, I think it's more about
way more about being self-conscious. I think
being self-conscious.
The point is that regardless of how they perform, like they have a baseline skill level. Let's say their skill level's here. If you compensate for that and start to like preface that you're going to be a feeder, you're going to perform below that skill level. I would rather you just fed in silence. It's chill, man. Like nobody cares, right? Like can you just perform your best, please?
Yeah. That's the other thing is when people are feeding, I would rather them not talk because talking like humanizes them and it makes me more frustrated with them.
Yes,
versus exactly. Like if they're just feeding and not talking, it's like just another bot. But I don't, for whatever reason, I'm much more okay accepting like a bot feeding than like an actual human. I don't know what it is, but
dehumanize yourself. if you're feeding.
That's basically what I'm saying.
If you're feeding, like just type a slur in chat and like buy a
Because,
Midas.
well, because humanizing yourself also makes me like want to talk to you more, and it makes me like subconsciously think that I can like change your gameplay if I talk to you, which is
Dude,
never the case. You can never change somebody's gameplay, unfortunately.
dude, that's why I find it easier to play with ghouls than humans, personally. Though that's like very anecdotal because like it's hard to play with a
I don't
ghoul
know,
who like
bro.
buys a
The
Midas and ruins the game.
the ghoul spectrum is very, very high.
I'm just thinking like if we get like some EU guy who like never speaks, like it's very easy to play with them.
I see, yeah.
Like that is like way easier to play with than like just some like dude. People did not like the dads did not like the dad Dota bit. Um,
Some of them took it lightly. Some of
I
them
think
didn't
it,
like
I
it.
think it's because they're equating it literally to being a dad. And like they think we like hate people with children or something.
I don't
Um,
think anyone thinks that. I hope
Someone
they don't
literally
think that.
no. Some people like on the comments of your video like they interpreted it that way. Dad Dota is a vibe and a lifestyle. You could be a dad Dota like enjoyer, and you could be 10 years old. Okay. Um, it's more about this like just communication. Like I don't know. Like
Anti-flow state.
dude, I mean honestly, a big thing for me is, and like this relates to something else I want to talk about, but I think like the issue for me with a lot of the communication is that it's performative. I feel like a lot of the times in Dota, people have performative impact and they're just playing to like salvage their image within the team or like get affirmation.
Yeah,
And
that's really
that's
weird to me
yeah.
because like you're playing with four random teammates. Like who fucking cares at
Like human
all
beings like
what
just
they
seek or
think?
like I mean, I think it's because they're insecure, right?
It's
Just
just
like
disgusting behavior, man.
no,
I
it is
hate that
it
so
is
much.
disgusting
But I
behavior.
mean, I agree with you. I see a lot of that performative stuff in like
And
solo queue ranked.
dude, and
Honestly,
yeah.
more so, I think the peak for that is like Ancient Divine, like Low Immortal MMR, where I see like the most of that
Dude, it's
shit.
all like I also hate that. Yeah, it's just because like everything they do, you can just tell that they're not motivated by like trying to play well or do anything. They just want to be interpreted as playing well. And it's just like so it's like the most greasy social climbing behavior ever. Like, why do you give a shit,
But
dude?
if you're gonna social climb, get off fucking Dota, man. Like,
Well,
don't
I
social
guess
climb
social
on
climb.
Dota.
I mean, social
Also,
climb might not be the right word because they're not trying to like climb the social ladder. I mean, they're just like affirmation seeking,
I mean,
like neglected
they're
people.
playing status games in the Dota
Yes,
game. They
exactly,
want to
and they're
appear
not
like high
playing the Dota
status.
game.
Yeah.
And okay, but I have a relation to the other side of that because that's one side of it where and I also think supports fall victim to this because the role has a lot of nuance. So then instead of having nuance, they just like think that it's nuance, but in reality they're having negative impact. But the other side, which is having nuanced impact, I think a mistake that a lot of supports make is that, or I think this affects supports the most because it's the least, or it's the most nuanced impact and the least flashy role, is that they seek affirmation for when they play well, right? And I think particularly on support, but anyone just based on your random teammates, you're not going to get the affirmation, right? And if you're seeking out the affirmation, like you're also like playing the social game and being cognizant of it, and you're not flowing if you're playing like the social game. Um, but I wanted, or this thought happened to me yesterday at polo practice is where it happened because when I play water polo, I'm not like the star player on my team. I like have a role and like a lot of it's like defensive plays and like stuff that isn't flashy, right? Like what would you consider a flashy play in Dota or sorry in water polo? It's like scoring the goal, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or
Or
like getting a
like
steal or
or like getting
something.
a steal or even getting an assist is like flashier than like being the guy who like plays solid defense on the guy who doesn't have the ball.
Yeah, for to relate this to Dota, Pine on
Yeah,
his water polo team is basically like a
I'm like a
glorified.
4.
I was gonna say like a glorified support. Yeah, I guess a four is a good
Yes, I'm
word
like a
for it,
support.
or
I'm a
even
soup.
a five, honestly, from what you
Yes,
told me.
I'm a soup. For
But
sure.
yeah, that's a really good analogy. So his impact is all very like nuanced and not direct.
Yes, and I had
Um,
a awful practice yesterday, and the reason why I think is that I desired to like okay. Basically, my conclusion, just to start with the conclusion before I get into it, and so we don't get lost in like the weeds of like the details, is I think if you're gonna have nuanced impact, which everyone's having in the Dota game, it's a couple things. A, you need to have a lot of conviction in the fact that you're having impact because there's not going to be as much feedback and no one's going to give you any glaze as you're having this nuanced impact, right? So if the way you're evaluating yourself is based on like the affirmation that your teammates are giving you or you're having impact seeking out that affirmation, you're a you're not going to know like how good of a job you're doing, and you're just going to be frustrated. And that was the issue for me. Was like I just desired to like have flat. I think it's because I watched too much Blue Lock before practice. But I just desired to have flashier impact and stuff like that. And suddenly I'm not flowing. I'm not thinking about the nuanced impact I'm having. I'm not convicted in the nuanced impact I'm having. Where like, oh, even though no one's like glazing me for it, like I check the runes every time, right? Like I put the wards and my teammates get picks on wards. Like no one's gonna say it, like nice ward, bro, or something like that. And the ward's like a flashier like support play you could have.
I actually go out of my way to say nice ward when we like take.
Or like no one's gonna be like
because
like
I
nice
recognize
dust,
that impact,
brother. Like nice dust, right? And that's still like flashier impact because like it leads to a kill than like you pulling or some shit, or like I don't know, like you stacking, or you being efficient on the map. People are not going to give you affirmation, and so I think the biggest thing for me is like you have to know that what you're doing is good, and you have to have conviction that what you're doing has nuanced impact. And I just find it like basically what I'm saying is like for me it falters a lot, right? Because sometimes I'll have a lot of conviction, and then when you have these convictions, you know these things are good, you'll chain queue, do these things, you don't need the affirmation. And sometimes when I lose conviction and I want recognition, that's when like I stop making nice nuanced plays. I start desiring to make flashy plays. I start desiring to be recognized by my team, and then I just like be shit is what happens.
Yeah, I think there's also like expectations at play for you.
Yeah,
where like you go into a practice and you kind of like expect or you like want yourself to perform a certain way, and then that gap like creates frustration and makes you play even worse.
Yeah, because I mean I don't want to talk too much about water polo, but like I do like a lot of like the thankless jobs in water polo.
You know, it's exactly akin to like a support in Dota.
Exactly,
it's
like,
a really good analogy.
And yeah, like I mean normally pretty much every other practice like I'm fine with it, but yesterday I was just like super frustrated with the role I had to play and stuff like that, and it's just like it's tough because like I can desire to do other stuff, but it's like what I was having is a lot of impact, right?
Yeah.
And even if it's thankless, like you just got to keep doing it.
I honestly feel like secondhand frustration for you because I know like water polo goons, like if Dota people are not like likely to recognize like support impact, water polo goons like are not as well.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
no, in a role specifically for nuanced impact, like I know in water polo, no one's gonna care at all.
Nobody cares, dude. Nobody cares at all.
And people don't put it together when like you're not playing on their team, and then things just like it's exactly like in Dota where when your support is playing well and warding well, the game just feels very easy. It feels very streamlined. Yeah. And in water polo, it's the same, I imagine, when you play on a team. And so when you're taken out of that team and things suddenly feel hard, they don't recognize that it's you who's making it easy. They just think like the cores aren't like shooting as well or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly how they feel. And yeah, dude, it relates a lot to Dota because when your support, like as you said, like when you have good supports, like the game feels so easy. And does anyone ever say anything to the supports? No, man. They don't say anything until the end of the game. They're like, "Good job, supports." Like in the like post game or something.
People don't even say that. No, I mean, I honestly, like I said, I make a specific
effort.
I go out of my way to like say nice word to supports, and I feel like my one compliment like goes a long way to supports. I feel like supports are like compliment starved, so it's like
a core memory for them.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like the stereotype that when a girl gives a guy a compliment, they remember it for the rest of their life.
Yes,
it's the same thing here. When a core gives a support a compliment, they remember it for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I try to compliment the supports when they make nice plays as well.
Yeah, nice rotation, nice ward.
Yeah, exactly.
Give your support some love, guys, and maybe they'll stop being assholes.
This is a rare one for our podcast. We've turned a new leaf here. It's the support love podcast.
No, but only when they deserve it, and they very rarely deserve it. All right, let's not get it twisted.
That's pretty true. They're rarely getting kills. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, having nuanced impact. Basically, my main thing was just having nuanced impact. For me, the biggest thing, besides just having the nuance impact and knowing the nuance, is just having conviction that it's impact. Because as soon as you lose conviction, it falls apart. And dude, as you said, like it's just so much easier when you're having that nuanced impact. So it's also hard to quantify. Like if you lose the conviction and you stop having that nuanced impact, like sure you might notice that it's more difficult, but like it's hard to quantify like how much impact it actually is. So that's something that definitely stuck with me because I just had like such an awful practice and I was like not enjoying playing my role. And it's like, yeah, but like that's my hero's weapon, if you think about it, right? Like in the game.
Yeah.
Relating it to Blue Lock, of course. Did we talk about weapon on the last one? I think we did, right?
I don't think so. We can talk about that. But what I was gonna say is big difference between Dota and like physical sports is in Dota you can choose your weapon.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
really
You
nice.
get you got to choose
In
the hero.
physical sports, a lot of it is based on like
I'm
your
stuck with
body
my
and
like
like
specs,
what
right?
you're good
Like
at.
you're
Yeah,
good.
you're stuck with your specs.
And like, let me tell you, when I go in and I am open as well, I also do not get the ball because like I have nuanced impact and people think I'm like a useless merchant, right? And like
Yep.
it's hurting the team that people don't recognize that like the nuanced impact is impact.
That's why MMR is nice, because if you have nuanced impact, your MMR will reflect that.
Exactly. And water
In
polo is like
sports, you're
not
just
directly
cooked.
related. Yeah, exactly. There's
But
no
I
like
mean,
direct
at a
feedback.
high level, people definitely like see that and recognize it in
That's the
sports
biggest.
because
Well,
that's a
yeah,
big part of the game.
yeah, it is. I
I
mean,
think
it's yeah.
the macro part of sports in general is really cool, and it's something that I didn't really appreciate until like later in
When you
my
were
life.
playing it,
And
yeah.
I wish when I was playing it competitively, because I play like
I wish
sports
coaches emphasized it more.
recreationally now, but yeah, I wish when I was like, you know, a competitive player in
Yeah.
water polo, not swimming. In swimming, there's no macro.
Dude, the Masters
Zero
guys
macro
who
in
are like really
swimming.
good, these are like XD1 polo players. Like they always commend the nuanced impact, which is really
Yeah,
really
it's like me
it's
saying
like when
nice
you
ward in my
like play,
Dota
yeah,
game.
exactly. It's like when you like tell the sports nice word. Like that's what they say to
Yeah.
me. It's because like I'll drive through and I won't touch the ball, and then our team scores, and then like they'll tell me like nice play. And it's like
Yeah,
that's what I
that's
needed
so
to hear,
funny.
man. That's what I need to hear.
I always in sports like to tell people nice pass as well.
Yeah.
If they give me a pass and I shoot it, I
But I
always
hate
like
to
to tell
say it
them
that
nice
like a
pass.
pass is a flashy direct play, unfortunately.
It's not
And
as flashy as shooting.
well, obviously, but it's flashier than like playing defense on the guy without the ball.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And I think that people recognize passes. Like the other impact is like really nuanced and like basically nobody gives a shit, which makes it really rough.
Yeah. Like we said, except the people at the highest level.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, how did I even get on that? Oh yeah, nuanced impact.
Patty says he loves the sports analogies.
Yeah. I was asking him if he
Dota
likes
is
them.
like baseball. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, this is first patch without the protracker. How's that been?
Yeah, honestly, it's been weird. I think there hasn't been a major patch since it though, only a minor patch.
Wasn't there? Okay, there was a patch though.
But no, it was only a letter patch. But
Yeah.
it's weird because people will have ideas about something being strong. I think a good example of this is Wraith King. Where like I think Speed made a video about Wraith King carry, and then BSJ made the video about Wraith King 3. And then I tried adding it to my rotation for a few games, and it just Wraith King carry, and it just did not feel that great. And I feel like
and it's hard to like confirm whether or not it's
yeah,
like, it's you
exactly.
or them.
But I'm a Wraith King player, right? Like I played a lot of Wraith King in the past when he was strong, and I know when that shit felt good. And then a part of me is like, am I doing the wrong build? Like it's hard to have conviction on if it's good or not. But I feel like at this point without protracker, you kind of have to like trust your guns.
Yeah.
And I feel like Wraith King is not like, you know, a top tier carry. But then they're picking it sometimes in pro. And like no, I saw Yatoro playing it in
both
pro.
the videos.
I wanted to play the armlet Deso build.
Okay.
It's not what people go. People go like Radiance, Blink.
Yeah.
But the old Wraith King build, if you remember, was armlet Deso.
Yeah.
And you just like chunk.
That's
you
like a
just
timing
chunk
build,
people
though.
early. Yeah, it is. It is.
Which is fine.
It's very strong though with the skeletons armlet Deso.
Which is perfectly fine. Yeah.
And I'm sure it's good in some games, but yeah, I don't know. It's been weird. Wraith King's lane is also really weak, right?
Yeah. It's actually garbage.
Yeah, I mean, I laned against a Wraith King 3 as a TA, and I killed this guy like 5
That sounds
awful.
Times. Holy god.
Yeah. I killed this guy like 5 times as TA. That was you'll like this. It was against the Honk Guild. It was against the 2 people who fed on our team versus in the game that we streamed. Yeah, I mean they're like ranked 300, so
they look like it. Anyways.
Yeah, it didn't look like it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, man, it's weird with that protracker because you don't have like definitive answers anymore.
Exactly.
So, like,
no, that's the biggest one. Is that,
Wraith
like,
King in my head is in this nebulous place where like I don't like, for example, if I saw he had like a 52% win rate on protracker, the old protracker, I would keep him in my rotation because I like playing Wraith King.
And then you'd be like, oh, it's my bad. Like I need to
yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I mean, not that like I can still win on him. It's not my bad for losing.
It's just about the conviction.
Yeah, it's just weird to Fatty's point right now, like restricting information in Dota.
Exactly. I don't like
very
the
bizarre
protracker trade or change at all.
The people who like it are like Quinn.
Dude, why do people? Well, yeah. Well, other people, dude, I feel like other people like it, which is like super midwit. I feel like Redditors like it randomly because they're like, oh, like finally this protracker sweats will stop like sweating
Yeah,
on
no,
protracker
exactly.
and
It's because
playing the
people want
meta.
to play their like Rubik mid, like test their
And it's
meta
like cool. If
builds.
you want to play Rubik mid, then just like go like Herald, man, and play Rubik mid. Like it's fine. But like, why are you gonna not play the meta and like want it to be restricted so that you can like play your like off meta dog
In
shit and like
ranked.
in your ranked and like be at that MMR. Just lose MMR and play your like terrible hero. It's fine. Like to restrict the information just makes no sense because it's the people who are getting hurt are like us and like the low MMR players. Like it's not the pros. The pros are happy, or I don't know if they're happy, but like they have the access to the most information, right? Their coach will figure it out. They're in the pro level pub, seeing what people are doing, talking to the best Dota players. The people who lose are like normal people. And then of course, I was like gonna make it political, but I'm not gonna make it political.
Jesus Christ.
But like I was thinking about that, but it's like
Not
the people,
here.
but the people who are affected and like most hurt by the change are the ones who support it. And it's like, how does this make? Are you people fucking stupid? Like, how does this make any sense, guys? How does this make any sense? Because like
Yeah.
finally the Dota Pro Tracker sweats will get what they deserve. It's like,
I
dude,
feel like that's the minority for sure.
I don't know, bro. There's like straight up like a Reddit post being like, finally, I've been waiting for this change.
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
now
what?
after it's settled, I feel like people like realize that they're wrong.
I think you underestimate how little of the Dota community even use Pro Tracker in the first place.
That's interesting. I don't know. I've seen a lot of comments saying that like people are lost without it, but
Yeah, for on educational content videos of people who emphasize using Pro Tracker.
yeah, that's true. The educational content segment in Dota is like a subsection. Like I would say less than 50% of the Dota community like seeks educational content. And how do I know
way less
that?
than 50.
Because
Dude,
on
way less.
YouTube, the video that's like Sand King Caustic Finale Quad Daedalus one shot in a Herald game gets like 200,000 views. And then like speed videos will get like 50 to 80K, which is still good. But it's like
Jeez.
these like wonky build videos that I don't even see on my homepage, right? Because I'm not interested in that content at all. They get a lot of views. I didn't even realize. These like
I also think it's NA, right? Like I think NA just has like a super casual player base. I mean, you were talking about how SVG talked about this. How about like how all the NA talent just like plays unranked and like
yeah.
nobody plays ranked. And I think it relates to Pro Tracker where like, dude, I feel like people on NA just don't care, or a huge majority, not majority, that might be the wrong term, but a huge portion of the player base on NA like doesn't care to improve, doesn't care to seek out that content. Because another thing, like I'm just thinking of like the other Discord, and like Jamal, it's like he's bitified as like the Pro Tracker guy, and I'm like, how is he the Pro Tracker? Are the rest of you not on Pro Tracker? Like I don't understand.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Like what?
That's weird.
Like there's the
Damn.
whole Discord of like pretty solid players, like, and they're like bitifying like this guy like needs Pro Tracker.
I actually think that those players are much more social than they are competitive. Like I think the
Yeah,
primary
100%.
reason a lot of them play Dota is for like the social aspect. So I think that's like not a good
Which is fine,
sample
but I
size
don't
for
know. Like,
this.
well, I don't know, dude.
It's-
I would
it's im-
say that I would say the average person in there, I would expect more likely to look at Pro Tracker than anyone in our pubs. You think any
Yeah,
of these dads in our pubs look at Pro Tracker? They're like, no, dude.
maybe
Or like
occasionally.
no, man. Our
But
clock
yeah,
links and stuff. They're
I mean
not looking at
it
it.
was a big competitive advantage that we lost, unfortunately.
Oh, it's awful.
But I think what I have noticed is like a less centralized meta right now,
I
which
don't
is
like that though,
also
man.
a good thing in pubs
Nah,
because well, it means if you know the meta, then you'll have an advantage because you'll be picking it and other people don't.
that's whack though. Just let everyone play the meta, man. Like I don't want some guy to win because he discovered that this is OP before other people. Like that's like so corny. Because the
Yeah,
other thing is like people say like, oh my god, like thank God, so now like the meta slows down. But like honestly, if you're someone who is saying that, there's no shot you're picking any of the meta heroes anyways, right? Like you're just not like clearly you're not someone who's into it. Um and I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the fun for me in Dota, the thing is, ever since I've been playing mid, it's way less about this. Because mid heroes like are pretty flexible and they work like almost every patch. But a huge enjoyment of Dota for me is playing the meta builds, and like there's something really fun. Like you can be resistant to playing the meta builds, but every time I play the meta builds, like it's really fun because obviously it's super strong, but also it's like you're like playing like what Dota is that patch. Like I remember like the Razor Bloodstone patch, I was like spamming that, and like that was just like
yeah.
so disgustingly fun.
I actually think my enjoyment of Dota went up when I started playing meta because I used to be like not a meta player where I would just play like my heroes and I'd stick with them.
Dude, you're just playing such a harder game.
Yeah.
And it
And
also is like
I mean,
discouraging. Because like when you pick like your anti-mage or something on the non-anti-mage patch and then you lose, you're like, anti-mage is so bad. Fuck.
yeah, I know it's just kind of bad vibes.
Yeah, exactly. But like when you lose on the meta, it's like, well, I'm dog. Like
Playing
that's
meta is cool because it always feels fresh.
yeah,
You know, you're playing
exactly.
new heroes, learning new heroes. Like
I
that's
I
something
feel
that
that
makes Dota
yeah.
awesome. Is if you, it always feels fresh if you play a new hero.
I like it because it's in the culture. Like when you are in tune with the culture and you're in the meta, like when it's the Glimmer Cape patch and you're building your Glimmer Cape on like PA, or it's the Solar Crest patch back when you could cast Solar Crest on yourself. And I'm playing tiny mid with Solar Crest first, and I put it on myself in auto attack. Like that is like kind of lit.
Yeah, no, it
Um,
is.
compared to like just picking the same hero you picked for 30 patches in a row. Like
Yeah.
that's just boring as hell.
Honestly, it kind of took me to actually start doing it to really feel like how fun it actually
It's
is.
so fun.
Because before, I think you were a meta enjoyer before I was, and you would always
Yeah.
tell me like, dude, like you should play meta, like it's fun. But I never really got it, and then
We
I
enjoy
started playing meta,
things in
and
the
I was
meta
like,
though.
oh,
Because I think you enjoy playing like meta carries and having like the strong meta builds. Whereas like the things I enjoy in the meta is like the support items. Like I really like I had a lot of fun on that patch where all the auras were really broken, and then I'm playing Pango offlane with like
yeah.
Greaves Crimson Pipe in my inventory,
No,
and it's like my entire team's completely
I was
unkillable.
talking about like 4 years ago, back when like we didn't even play super competitively. I remember you would still like keep in touch with the meta, and I
Yeah,
just like would not.
I think the main thing is I like it, it makes me feel like I'm in the Dota culture. Like
Yeah,
I'm in tune with what's happening. Because then you tune to a
yeah,
pro game and you understand like what you're seeing on your screen.
yeah. Or you tune into a stream and this guy's complaining about like Glimmer Cape, and you're like, yep, that shit's strong. Like I played it. Like
Yeah,
complain about
exactly.
that shit.
Yeah, but then I'm like, yeah, dude, Glimmer Cape's fucking lit. Like I'm just invis the whole game with like 40% magic resist. Like that's insane. Like it's
Hmm.
hella fun. Or another one, dude, this was another like insanely crazy meta patch was I don't know if you remember the patch where everybody was buying Meteor Hammer, like literally everybody.
I don't think
I
I played a lot that patch. I vaguely
That
remember
patch
it, but
was
I
really
don't think
fun.
I was playing
There
that
was
patch.
like 4 meteor hammers in the lobby. There was more than 4. There was like 6 meteor hammers in the lobby every single game. And like the meta like mid laner that everyone was playing was like everyone was playing Quaswex Invoker with Meteor Hammer. And then all the offlaners would just pick stun plus Meteor Hammer. This is back when like Meteor Hammer would like stun for like 2 seconds as well. And it did way more damage to towers. I forgot like, but it was like
Oh
so
yeah, I forgot they
it
nerfed it
didn't
a
build out of
lot.
Akaya either. It built out of Perseverance, and the buildup was really good.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what
So you
people would
rushed the
do,
perseverance.
and I remember offlaners would literally start with no items and get a ring of health. And then at like 6 minutes, they have a meteor hammer, and the Mars spears you into a meteor hammer, and you just evaporate.
No, the most
Um,
disgusting thing about that was when people would pick OD mid and rush Meteor Hammer. That was disgusting.
yeah, no, that was meta
OD
too.
first item Ring of Health. That was just gross.
No,
You
I hate
couldn't
it.
lane against
And
it.
the
And he'd
thing is,
Meteor
like,
Hammer your tower.
yeah, exactly. And you
I
just
hated
know,
that
like,
so
you just
much.
know that reckoning is coming because, like, you see this guy with like the Perseverance crown in his inventory, and it's like, oh no, bro. Like, and then I remember like when I was mid lane, I would communicate constantly, guys. This guy's gonna have a meteor hammer on my tower in like 2 minutes. Like, I need help here, and help ain't coming. And my tower is like completely boomed. And then he walks to the side lane, fucking astral meteor hammers my guy. He dies. Other towers boomed. That patch was hella fun. Because also like the patch fluctuates so much. Like, okay, we had the auras patch, right? And what was that? That's like ball up, team fight, super survivable, right? Really long team fights. Like Dispel is super good. There's like the counter meta with like Nullifier, and like it's a lot of healing. It's a lot of ball up. Everyone's like super hard to kill. You go to the Meteor Hammer patch. What's that? My tower explode at 4 minute. Like that's what that patch is. My tower doesn't explode at 4 minute in the pipe patch. Okay, my tower stays up for 30 minutes in the pipe
I
patch.
actually feel like patches in Dota used to be more defined than they are now. Like,
Yeah.
I think 7.38 and 7.37 weren't. I guess 7.37 was like kind of the Glimmer Cape, like
Well,
Bloodseeker
actually,
patch. That's
yeah,
kind of how I would define it.
yeah.
But I remember it in previous patches, like I think it was like TI 4 or 5. That was like the Death Ball patch where glyphs were really nerfed. I don't know if you remember that. And then the meta was just to Death Ball down lanes with like fucking
I don't
Death
think so
Prophet
though,
and
because
Shen.
there was like Wraith Pack patch,
Yeah,
which
that
is
was
like
like
very.
5 years ago.
Is that really? Oh
Yeah,
shit.
right?
Okay. Okay. I mean, there
It's
was
a long
Meteor Hammer
time,
patch too.
something like that.
What I think it is, or there was just Aura's patch a little bit ago when I was on the when we were
Yeah,
playing. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
true. That was like a year ago.
yeah. What I think it is for me is that I prefer patches based around items, not heroes. Hero patches are really whack. Like oh my god, Bloodseeker is broken. You got to pick Bloodseeker every
Yeah.
game.
Item
Oh my
patches
god,
are
it's
cool
the
because
morph patch.
anyone can partake.
Exactly. Like the item patch is fun when it's like, damn, Solar Crest is insane. And then there's like 9 Solar Crests in the lobby. Like that's just
Yeah.
funny. That's just goofy as hell.
A lot
But
of
like,
times
yeah.
though, the items determine what heroes are good. Because if
Yeah,
an item's
exactly. But
strong,
like,
certain heroes build it better.
yeah, but what gets fun is like learning or like figuring out and adjusting those items and how it is in the patch to like your heroes and like seeing if you can utilize it. Whereas like, or what it is that when it's a hero patch, let's say like Bloodseeker is the best hero in the patch, there's one Bloodseeker in the game and then 9 guys with cancer, right? Whereas when it's like the Meteor Hammer patch, it's like 8 people in this lobby have a Meteor Hammer, bro. We're all having a blast. Like it's just hilarious. Whereas the
Everyone
hero
can have fun.
exactly, like we're all having a good time. Whereas like, yeah, exactly. The other patch is just boring as hell because it's just one hero. I really like item patches. I really wish they would go for, and there's been recent patches too. Like another recent item patch, or this is kind of like a Dota concept patch, but it's not a hero patch, is Universal Hero Glepnir patch, which I loved. I love that shit. Or Universal Hero Glepnir was the range one, and then it was Universal Hero Earn Spirit Vessel with the 2 crowns. Like I love that patch, man. That patch
I
was
missed
so
the
fun.
old Glepnir. That was so
Yeah.
fun.
When it built out of 2 crowns,
Glepnir into
the
Shackle.
Atos built out of 2 crowns. Yeah, people are going like Snapfire mid with like double crown into Atos first. Like, dude, that was like so lit. That patch was super fun as well. And then they like nerfed it into the ground. Glepnir feels like shit now. I mean, it's still fine.
Actually, I've never built it. I mean,
Atos
you build
feels
it on different
well,
heroes.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Glepnir on Jakiro is goated.
It's like int heroes. Well, actually, I really like the Glepnir AA. That is lit. When you dude, something you just feel like LeBron when you like hit the Glepnir.
Yeah, even Atos into the shot is nice.
And you just
AA
like
is
one
really
shot
strong.
him.
I think he's
Yeah.
strong for that reason, just for like the Atos ult.
Yeah, the Atos ult is so good. I mean, the issue, genuinely, I think AA is a strong hero. The issue with AA has always been, I mean, besides the fact that his lane is awful, but then the other thing is that, like, I swear it's just that the players miss all the spells every single time.
Yeah, and the Atos
I think
prevents you
that's
from
like the
doing that.
most difficult thing about AA. Like, AA is like a super hard hero, and then you honestly get like some of the worst players to ever have a keyboard, like to play AA randomly.
He's
And
one
they
of the
just-
easiest supports to kill as well.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
One
I mean,
of the
because
easiest.
it's not even just that he's squishy; it's that he doesn't defend himself. Whereas if you think about like Skywrath Mage and you go on Skywrath Mage, who's also like one of the squishiest supports of all time, like at least he like silences and like presses every button, right? But A just like rolls over and dies instantly.
Yeah. And I think people who aren't normally AA players are playing AA right now, and that's why he looks good. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I agree. AA player,
That's
like I think the
offensive
people,
to AA players.
no, the people who play AA are all just like mega feeders.
Oh, bad. This reminds me of something I saw that I wrote down. Our shark will fix all lanes. It was just a pub where Nico Baby was playing Nature's Prophet, and Ari from OG was playing Shadow Shaman. And Ari's like rank 50 or something in Europe, which is really good. I don't know why he's not active on OG.
So he was literally he was referring to Nico Baby as the shark.
Yeah, so Ari just said like, you guys don't need to like get the waves. Our shark will fix all the lanes. And then Nico Baby like really liked that and said like, well played or something. But I don't know. I just found that insightful because that's an advantage of having like Nature's Prophet or Tinker on your team, is they'll fix the map. You don't need to fix the map.
Yeah.
And you can play accordingly. Like it's a big, if you don't realize how big of an advantage it is to like not have to do that, then I feel like you don't understand Dota as well as you should.
Yeah, we've discussed it before, but get like pushing in the waves is a prerequisite to making good Dota moves, right? And some heroes are really good at it, like Tinker, and some heroes are really terrible at it. And so we were playing, or we've discussed briefly like that Ursa and Tinker have great synergy, and the reason why is once Ursa's on his timing, his Blink BKB Basher, the Battle Fury's in there too, guys. Buy Battle Fury, but like Battle Fury Blink BKB Basher. Let's say he's at this timing. All my Ursa wants to do is like blink on people and one shot them, right?
Yeah, I don't want to deal with the waves.
But like maybe like in a different game he has to hit the waves because no one else is hitting the waves because it's a bot lobby and like all support's useless or something. But the nice thing is that because we were playing Ursa Tinker recently, and I can literally fix all 3 waves, and then my Ursa can just run around the map with his Aegis and just kill stuff. And what was happening? You were just like killing literally like 4 of the enemy team while I'm like not even at the fight. I'm just like pushing waves, right? And so something about that is really, really nice. And dude, people really, I mean, how many times are we going to discuss waves? But it's just an age-old concept that no one ever understands ever. Because this was a while ago, but we played a game against Mega Creeps, and this is the ultimate tell for me that after the game I'm gonna like execute my entire team IRL. Sorry, but like what happens like when you have Mega Creeps and somebody like walks to a jungle camp, it's like you just aren't like you don't understand how Dota works.
Yeah,
right?
it's a pretty big tell.
Because you may think like I kill this camp or I kill this wave like in front of my base, and then let me fit in the camp. Like that 10 seconds, we're never gonna be able to do anything if you're gonna do that.
You could have pushed the next wave. That's why
you could have ran and pushed the next wave. Like there's no time for that, man. Especially when you want to oh god, this is a concept that I've been learning in League as well. But what it is that like, for example, space that's like defended on your map, that's space that you can fall back to any time. So let's say I'm on my timing. Don't go to this defensive space that you have secured. Go to where, relating it to blue lock, like putting yourself in a position where you can use your weapon or like thrive and like putting yourself in the ideal circumstance. Like if I want to fight, I need to get to the location where fights are going to happen. I need to find the most dangerous areas of the map and place myself there.
In front of enemies.
Exactly. And it may feel like very overkill. It might feel very overkill to be like, oh, like how dare you hit that one camp? That stuff matters, right? Because as you're hitting the camp, that guy who you would have killed is getting an opportunity to get the wave out, right? And suddenly now you have to go fix the wave before you can go gank him, or you go gank him in your smoke and then you don't find him, or you find him and then you can't even do anything, et cetera, et cetera.
I like the Mega Creep example because that accentuates how important.
I mean, that one's like heinous.
Just
like if you hit a jungle camp and you're against Mega Creeps, like genuinely abandon the game and save us the time.
Yeah, I mean, just having Mega Creeps against you is, I think, a good way of illustrating like the importance of waves, because it's the same thing when you don't have Mega Creeps. It's just that the Mega Creeps are just normal creeps on steroids.
Dude,
but
Mega
there's a
Creeps,
reason why it feels
Mega
hard
Creeps really.
Mega Creeps.
I don't want to like blue lock it, but I feel like Mega Creeps really illustrates like the egoisto, like active-minded, like trying to make opportunities for themselves versus like the passive. I'm gonna sit in base and hit jungle camps until the enemy team comes and tries to siege my base.
Exactly. That
right. And like 90% of the players just sit in the base and they clear the one wave in front of their thing, and then they just go hit a camp and then they just like turtle. And it's like, dude, we can do this 50 minutes. We're never going to get out of the base. We're never going to do anything. Like we got to make opportunity for ourselves. We got to get out there. We have to like be proactive. And so many players just like sit there and do fucking nothing against megas, man. It's like, we're never going to win.
Yeah. I mean, it's like just a high MMR thing, to be honest, is that
I also just like it
mentality.
Because, well, I just like it as well. Cause like I can recognize that when you're against Mega Creeps, the odds of winning are low, but it just really shows character. It shows people character when they're against the Mega Creeps and they just like sit in base and do nothing. And they just like don't even try to coordinate moves. I remember there was another play. Dude, this also illustrates character, but I remember we were against Mega Creeps. This is an old story. We're against Mega Creeps and the enemy team's taking Roche in the corner of the map before the Roche moved. And I remember I smoked out as like Ember and I go for a steal and I die. And some guy goes like, why are you doing that, bro? We have megas. It's like, dude, we're going to lose, man. We're going to lose. Like, you got to get out there. Like
these people are just waiting to lose. This guy who's flaming me
is literally sitting in the fountain, like doing nothing, just like stroking his shit. Like, fuck you. Just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like so many people in Dota are just like waiting to lose. They make no proactive moves.
Yeah.
And they don't push the waves.
Because these people are still trying. It's not that they're not trying. But what they're trying to do is just not to lose. Like they're going to press their buttons when the enemy walks in their base. They're going to defend, but they never do. They never try to win. They never try to make offensive plays.
This relates to another game where I forgot like the full context of this game, but I think you and me were very frustrated because our team was like genuinely doing nothing or like making no proactive moves. We had like really bad supports, and who would have thought, kind of going full circle to what we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, game feels really hard when you have bad supports, and game feels really easy when you have good supports who are like doing things.
Yeah.
And sometimes all it takes is literally just trying things. And I feel like that's a huge issue for a lot of Dota players is they don't try to do anything, right? They passively wait. Because what happened was I was really strong. You're really strong. I think I was Tinker probably. Yeah, I was Tinker. And I'm like level 18, so I can show up anywhere. But guess what? Like our Tinker, our scientist has to fix all lanes. Okay. So I'm fixing all lanes. And the whole game, I'm just begging. First off, this is a PSA. If you play with Tinker, don't come mid. Or don't go to Tinker, right? Because I can TP anywhere, guys.
That
So
goes for any global
any
heroes.
global
People
hero.
are really bad at playing with
People
global
literally
heroes. It makes me
run
upset.
to the global
I'm
heroes
like being
lane.
put in the smoke as nature's prophet. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Like people go to like nature's prophet lane, or I'm Tinker, and I'm like, guys, I can be on any side lane if you guys start a fight, and then both my supports show up mid, and then I'm Pango, and I'm like, let's fight mid, and my support, like, where are they? Right.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make any sense. But anyways, this is like late game Tinker scenario. So I'm like level like like 18 plus. I can TP on my heroes, and these guys just haven't made any moves the whole game. And no one's saying anything. My supports aren't saying anything. They're not calling for smokes. There were 3 smokes in stock for like 40 minutes straight. And then my Earth Spirit, first human to speak in the game other than you and me, goes, or he doesn't even say anything. He just presses smoke on himself solo, and he draws a line from him into the enemy's side jungle. We're crushing them. So like they're turtling in base doing nothing. And he has a nice read, which is like their carry is gonna like try to get out to the side jungle and farm, right? And then he ran out there, and the carry was there, and I TP'd on him, and we one-shot him instant.
Yeah, that was a great play. I wish he did that earlier.
And I just like, I was like, made sure to like comment him because I'm like, dude, like that is all you had to do. Like all you had to do was like try to make a move, just literally try to.
And it was like 40 minutes in the game at that point.
And that was the first move that our team tried to make. That wasn't just like you on Ursa like running at somebody with your blink.
Honestly, the moves that you make aren't that hard to think about or do. It's just nobody tries.
Nobody does these moves. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a huge issue because, like we said, I mean, the mega creep example really illustrates it. So many people, and I think the issue as well is that people get rewarded for this kind of thing, is that they passively wait for other players to mess up. And then the reason they get rewarded is because players are so disgusting that like they'll be at the high ground and then 2 seconds later they're like in your fountain.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like, wow, nice one, guys. Nice hold. Nice hold. No, not nice hold. We suck is what, and like we're doing nothing.
I mean, that's also just not a fun way to play Dota, in my opinion, is like waiting for the enemies to mess up.
Yeah.
If you want to get better, you have to respect your opponents. And
I saw a really good this is really random, but I saw a really good like soccer YouTube short, and it was about the wingers. It all comes back to Blue Lock. It's about the wingers, right? The people at the very sides of the field, on the offensive line. So they're the furthest up on the sides of the field, and in soccer right now, just for context, like what's in the culture right now is this like possession-based soccer where you just hold the ball and do nothing for like 80 minutes and you just like play super passive, okay? Which is awful. Which is interesting because like that's in the culture, but then they have like a really, really good player like breaking it down on the whiteboard, going purge mode. And it was really good. So the ball gets to the winger, and then he basically emphasized like there's a ton of space at the wings, and you usually put like your best one-on-one players, and your whole team works so hard to get you this one-on-one. And then what does the guy do? He like run forwards and then immediately like passes the ball out, and they just keep playing possession. And it's like, dude, that's our look though. Like that's our play. And if it doesn't work, it's chill. But like, just take your 1v1, man, and lose it. It's fine. If the guy steals the ball, the guy steals the ball. What are you going to do? Pass the ball back and just do nothing? When are we going to score? It's the same thing for this like Earth Spirit, like smoke gank support example. Like, when are we going to make our own looks? Like, when are we going to do something? Or are we just going to play this like passive possession-based Dota where we just like sit in the base and do nothing and hope
it comes down to being proactive versus reactive, which is something that we talk about. It's just like a high MMR trait, to be proactive and make moves. If you do that, you'll gain MMR. All right, I think we're gonna wrap this up soon. Maybe we can do like a little chat Q&A for a little bit.
I think we can call the YouTube session there. I
guess we're gonna end it here, guys. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Remember, if you want to support the show and have an Amazon Prime sub, you get a free one every month.
Little primer. Also, subscribe to Krabby. No, that stuff helps, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it does.
It does. But like people forget, as you said.
Somebody told me to say in my YouTube videos to like and comment.
Yeah.
And they do it. Thank you for pod. You're welcome, Fatty. Thanks for tuning in, bro. Good to see you.
Thanks for tuning in. See you probably next week after Raleigh.
Good luck
on another episode.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll be around in Discord.
Yep. All right.
Guess that's it. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
See you guys later.
See you.